Yes, folks, we are back again on Cricbuzz Live. This time, same two teams, same country, but just a slight change in format. 20 overs is now 50 overs. We're back to the traditional white ball format of 50 over cricket. It is ODI number one, the first of three from just south of the Thames at the Oval in London before we move north of the river in a couple of days' time. Well, India got the better of the T20 series, though England finished it on a high. How will this particular one-day series go? Well, we've got an India versus England battle in our midst on Cricbuzz Live. So let's go and meet them straight up. Zaheer Khan and Michael Vaughan. Zaheer, would you reckon, despite that last victory to England, that India would feel buoyant on the ascendancy after winning a series?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. They've had lots of positives to take. The only concern, pretty much in the series which we saw, was catching. So that was barring that. Rest of the things look pretty good. For the last match of the T20 series, they didn't play the full bowling lineup. So that's something which they will look at saying now we're starting the series, and you're going to see Bumrah and Shami. Captain has won the toss and bowling first, so he would expect Bumrah and Shami to do the early damage and set the tone for the game.
Well, so he's let the cat out of the bag. Not that we were going to keep all of you in suspense anyway. The toss has happened. Rohit Sharma has won the toss and he's asked England to bat first. Before I come to Michael, let's quickly have a look at India's 11 and then we'll get both guests in there. This is India's 11 for the first ODI. Just a quick bit of news. Official statement from the BCCI is that Virat Kohli and Arshdeep Singh were not available for selection for this game. So this is how it looks. Shikhar Dhawan back in the opening slot as he likes to be in this format. Shreyas Iyer, the in-form Surya Kumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja. They bat right down to Jadeja there, and then the four bowlers in Shami, Bumrah, Chahal and Prasidh Krishna. Michael, your first thoughts first before even on the 11 about England trying to come back. White ball cricket, 50 over format has been their strength. They are the defending World Cup champions. They need to show it here.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I think they will. I mean, they'll play an aggressive brand, you know that, with England's white ball team. I think it's the right call to bowl first at the Oval. The pitch doesn't really deteriorate too much. If anything, gets better later on in the day, and there might be a little bit of movement in the afternoon. So I think it's the right decision to be chasing. England have got their powerhouse back, you know, their test stars back. The Bazball crew are back in town. I was really impressed with India in the T20 series because of the nature of the way that they played, with this fearless way with the bat, being really aggressive. I thought the bowling combinations were excellent. Made a few changes in the last game, but you know, they've got high-class bowling attack, but it's that manner of batting that I think they need to transcend into 50 overs. I think you've got to play the same style of way in 50-over cricket as you do in T20 cricket. Stick to it, and I think the more that you play that way, the more it becomes quite easy for these players to get to that 325, 350 and beyond scores, which, you know, when you get on a good pitch with these two new white balls, the ball's generally not swinging a great deal. It might swing for 3 or 4 overs either end, but then it's flat. You know, there's not a great deal of spin here in the UK. So I know England, if they get that platform, they'll be looking for 350 plus today at the Oval.
Yeah, of course, people have been impressed with this new approach, Zaheer. It's been an approach that almost has been patented by England. Eoin Morgan started this. In fact, I think we have something similarly related on our hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live question. So let's get that in right at the top before I ask that question. And there we go. Pravesh has spotted exactly that. Since India's adoption of the all-out approach in the T20s was successful, can we expect the same in the ODIs as well, Zaheer? Because this, as I started saying, is something that dates back to Eoin Morgan circa 2015. England have continued it pretty much. India now, will they be able to translate it from 20 to 50?
Well, I'm not expecting that. I think they will stick to the formula which has been working very well for them, which is looking at the game in two phases. So first 30 overs and the back 20 overs, you look at it like a T20 format, and you look to double the score, whatever you achieved in the first 30 overs, and have wickets in hand. You know, so that has been the formula. You've seen that the first 10 overs, they've not really been looking to be aggressive. They've taken their time so that you can set a platform and build on partnerships and keep wickets in hand for the last 20 overs. So that has been the formula. I think you would expect something on those lines. Shikhar and Rohit both will take their time at the top, get their eye in, and then look to capitalize in the middle phase of the game. In ODIs, we've seen that the approach can be different. So the first 10 overs is one block, and then the next 20 overs after that, and maybe 5 overs from that 35 overs to 40 overs. That is one phase we've seen captains using it tactically. So if you have wickets in hand, you can actually capitalize on those 5 overs because of the field restrictions. You have 5 fielders in the circle, and then the last 10 overs it changes. So you would want to capitalize on that, set the momentum till then. So that has been the formula for Indian teams. So I'm expecting something on those lines for this series as well.
Well, interesting, Zaheer, not agreeing with the fact that they could probably translate that. Michael, taking us back to 2015, I referred to that. I remember that first series, it was against New Zealand. They tried it out. They were willing to score 330 all out in 42 overs, if that was the kind of score that they wanted. Now, were there certain things that maybe didn't work at the time, which you would maybe warn in India against doing?
Well, I'm going to argue with that India's not been successful in 50-over cricket for a long, long time. It's simple. They won the World Cup with Zach's team back in the day. Since then, they've just not got close. That's the honest truth, and that's in Champions trophies as well. For you to be successful, you've got to look at the era that you're playing in. The old way of playing it was successful 10, 12, 13 years ago, but it's not now. You've got to be more aggressive. And I think India have to take a leaf out the way that they played in T20 cricket. They have to be more aggressive with the bat. They've got the skill. They've got the players. England, when they started playing this brand in 2015, I remember a game at the Ageas Bowl when they were bowled out in 40 overs and the press were on them. You've got about 50 overs. Owen Morgan went straight into the press conference and went, nah, that's the way we're playing. That's the way that we're going to commit. That's the process that we're going about for the next few years. And it got them to winning the World Cup in 2019. I think the game has gone on further than it was many, many years ago. And you do have to be aggressive and you do have to look for 350 pluses on these kind of flat wickets. And you have to be brave. I've not seen many teams win a World Cup by playing safe. And there's too many good teams now that will play this bold way. You look at the way the Australians are starting to play and have started, winning that T20 World Cup and their powerhouse of a batting lineup. They're going to be ultra aggressive. England will be ultra aggressive. I think India have got the talent to be ultra aggressive if they commit to it for a long period of time. And they will have games where it doesn't come off. They will have games where it's not quite right and they play a few poor shots. But if I was India, I would be committing to that style of cricket because I think, in a year and a half's time in India on the Indian wickets, I think they can blow teams away with the bat and then obviously with the talented bowling attack.
Well, I think it's always good. We might be all friends on the show, but we like to have a difference in opinion. And I think the only way it's going to be answered, gentlemen, is by the folks in blue out in the middle at the Oval. But England's 11 expected to be ultra aggressive. A couple of names I want to get in there, Michael, before I come back to Zaheer. Someone like a Joe Root, a Ben Stokes. They're legends of English cricket. But purely in terms of numbers, the number of ODIs they've played since the last World Cup has not been too many. Do you see that as a problem, them settling back into this format as such? Root's played 9, for example.
No, it won't be a problem. They're so experienced and such good players that, I think the breather's probably done them the world of good. They've been focusing on Test match cricket. Obviously, the T20 World Cup for Ben and the players around. But now, over the next year and a half, you feel that it's going to be that England, for the next few months, will try and focus on the T20 team going to that World Cup. And then it'll all be about, trying to get a team ready for that World Cup in India in a year and a half's time. Bryden Cast is the interesting one. He's brought into the side. He's a talented quick bowler. He's got a nice angle that he creates, very similar to Richard Gleeson. He bowls a heavy ball. That's what we say. He's quite a quick bowler. And Reece Topley keeping his place, having bowled so well in that last game at Trent Bridge. So the batting lineup's full of power. I do think England's bowling attack in 50-over cricket. There's no Adil Rashid, who's been a key component, in those middle overs, picking up wickets all the time. I look at that attack and think that can be got. That attack can be got. If you play well against that bowling attack, whatever England get batting first today, I wouldn't be too scared of chasing it down, facing that attack.
Yeah, I mean, it looks maybe not quite with the firepower of the bowling attack, Zaheer, when you look at England's bowling, but we saw what happened in the T20s when you have a newcomer coming in, a bit of a surprise element, heavy ball being bowled. That can always be an exciting factor with the unknown quantity.
See, the whole selection of the playing 11 depends on what style of cricket you want to play, and the reason maybe England is not given that much emphasis. Obviously, Jofra is not there, Chris Woakes is not there. If they come, then the side will be strengthened, the bowling will be strengthened. But right now, if you're looking at scoring those 400 runs, 450 runs, then obviously you want your bowlers to be batting as well. So that is something which Indian team has consciously been avoiding for lack of options, or they don't want to get that kind of thought process affect their playing 11 selection. England, because they have gone about deciding on, okay, this is the brand of cricket we want to play. We want to be ultra aggressive in the 50 overs. Then you need batting till 9. And if you look at that India's playing 11, because you don't have those kind of options available, that style of play will not be suited. So you want your batters to take more responsibility, and you put more responsibility by saying that, okay, we are not expecting 30 or 50 from you, a quick 30-50. We are expecting 100. So that is something which approach which has been successful for Indian team, and I think it's a balancing act. When you have what kind of options available and the style of cricket which you want to play. So when you're looking at that England lineup, yes, they will be little bowling thin, because the approach has been and the emphasis has been purely on securing that batting and having that ultra aggressive approach which everyone is talking about. But when you see the name Joe Root there, it also kind of gives you that little bit of hint of that approach. To be successful, you need that anchoring. In T20, you can get away with that. But in 50 overs, you'll need that anchor, and that anchor is going to be Joe Root.
Yeah, well, we'll see the roles that the different players play. But looking at the other side, maybe a Brighton cast as a slight unknown quantity. Prasidh Krishna, Michael, may not be a complete unknown quantity, but he's relatively new. He's shown his wares in the IPL and in 20-over cricket. Now to see him in 50-over cricket, I think that's going to be a challenge for both the side facing him as well as for his own development.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like, his style of bowling. I like bowlers that can bowl in all the phases of the game. I think he's a bowler that, if you look at the numbers there, he can bowl in the power play. He's not had as much success in the power play, but in the middle of the innings in kind of 50-over cricket, it's almost like the key time that you've got to have bowlers that can get you wickets. If you allow the batters just to score at 7s and 8s in that middle period, which they try and do so these days, and they set that platform up for the last 15 overs, well, it's very, very dangerous. You need bowlers that can kind of cause a bit of chaos in the middle period, get you wickets, and that's exactly what Krishna can do. And also, he's a good death bowler. He can bowl all the variations towards the back end of an inning. So he's a good selection. Looking forward to seeing him. Looking forward to seeing how he copes with the expectation, the pressures, everything that comes with playing for India at the highest level, particularly at a ground like the Oval where the pitch is pure. It really is an outstanding batting pitch, and the outfield will be like glass. It's been warm here I know you get surprised when I keep talking about the weather, but it's been roasting in the UK for the last few days. So that outfield will be rock hard, it'll be fast, and it's not going to be an easy day for the bowlers. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes.
Yeah, well, in case there's any reflection, I'm not in the UK, but I think this is what it feels like. In case you're feeling there's a bit of unevenness in the light over here, there's sun streaming in from one side, and I think that's a bit like what's been happening of late in the UK. Very warm, and hence we can expect that to reflect on the pitches. Your take on Prasidh Krishna, his improvement as a player overall, and that, again, for him, the translation into bowling a 10-over spell rather than a 4-over spell.
Well, he's a hit the deck hard kind of a bowler. That has worked for him, and that's why his numbers are very good in the middle phase. With the field restriction in ODI cricket, you have 5 fielders in the ring. Ball is not really helping you that much. So the seam is not that prominent when you're bowling in that phase of the game. So as a bowler, you need to be hitting the deck hard, and that's what Prasidh Krishna does very well. And his numbers in middle and death is very good. So that's the specific role which he's been assigned in this bowling unit. You'll see Shami looking to make the inroads with the new ball. Bumrah is a three-phase bowler. You can pretty much use him at any stage as a wicket taker. But to control that middle phase and the back end, you need a designated bowler, and that's Prasidh Krishna for you. And he's been doing pretty well for the Indian team.
Well, if he's in the middle phase and the back end, he may or may not come up against a historic opening partnership. Roy and Bairstow. Over the years in Test match cricket, of course, we've had some legendary pairings. But when it comes to white ball cricket, Michael, you can't really look any further than these two. Just the numbers they've been stacking up, just the runs they make for fun.
Yeah, I mean, they're a high-class opening partnership. You just look at those averages, an average of 57 against Rohit and Shikhar Dhawan, who are exceptional, averaging 43. Just look at the run rate that they score at, near on 7 and over. 1100 partnerships, 1050 partnerships, inside the same kind of innings that Rohit and Shikhar Dhawan have played in terms of Bairstow and Roy 43 and Dhawan and Rohit 42. So they've been exceptional. They really have set that foundation of aggression at the top of the order on a regular basis. Jason Roy's not had a great time of it, and there's just one or two murmurings about his position in the side. There's the likes of Phil Salt, who got a century against the Netherlands just recently. He's a high-class player, so he's kind of breathing down the neck of Jason Roy at the top of the order. But, he's such a good player. When he gets going, he's destructive, and he's so hard to bowl to. But there is a little bit of pressure starting to, because of the depth of England's squad. It's the same with India, that there's so many players out of the team that you could argue that they should be in the side. It's very similar with the England setup, that there's always 5, 6, 7 players that you start talking about that should be in the side because they're that good. And I guess Jason, I wouldn't say this is a series that he has to score runs, but I think for his own mind and for the team's mind, he'd want a nice score or two to make sure that his position in the side is back to being concrete like it was a year or so ago.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they actually treat a batting order like a batting order. I know it's not T20 cricket anymore, but Zaheer, if you were to look at this England order, and I'll come to Michael after that, let's say an early wicket falls. You've got Joe Root coming in, scheduled to come in at 3. Butler bats at 5 traditionally in 50-over cricket. Do you see any situation or any reason for him to want to push himself up the order, or don't mess with it the way it looks?
Well, if you really get a good start, then he might think of that. But other than that, I think they will stick to this lineup. I'm not expecting any change in batting order. They'll be standard because it's a 50-over game. You have enough time. Even if you get a decent start, you would want to have that routines of everyone in place, and particularly Joe Root, because Joe Root is someone who that in this format also he will look to bat, run a ball, and then maybe push that strike rate to 115, 120, those kind of ranges once he's set. But from England's point of view, I think he's going to be important cog, because he can really put spinners under pressure. So when I'm looking at that lineup, the concern when you see that lineup is that if Joe Root is there in the middle phase, and you've seen that Indian bowlers have been good with taking wickets in the middle phase, if they don't get that, the pressure is going to be on the next phase when the bowlers come in the back end of the innings. So that's the main concern for me, I think, and because of that, you will not see any change in the batting order. Because of that, England would want Joe Root to bat when the spinners are bowling in.
I'd just be just watch out for Butler to potentially bat at 4. No, I think he might bat at 4, and also they may use Moeen Ali earlier because of the spinners. There's no left-handers apart from Moeen Ali and David Willey down the back end. So what they might do is they might throw Moeen in the middle when the spinners are on to hit the leg spinner and the left arm spinner. He's such a destructive player against spin. So that's the change. But I know they have been looking at Butler to bat at number 4 and leave Liam Livingstone a little bit more down the back end to just strike it. So I think there's loads of options with England and the Indian lineup. You're never quite sure what's the right combinations, but I do think they might play around a little bit with Moeen Ali in those middle overs against the spin.
Yeah, there was a suggestion of that. In fact, a couple of the commentators went to a length to say that he's been the most underused player in this England lineup, and we tend to agree to that. Let me put you on the spot, Michael. If you had your way, where would you bat Jos Buttler? What's his best batting position in 50-over cricket?
Well, I just think he's such a good player that I'd want to give him as many balls as possible. I look at Jos and see what he does in T20 cricket, where he can get you 100. And in 50-over cricket, I think he can get you a 150. He's such a good player. I'd want him in at number 4. Joe Root's the key generally in this team because, as Zach said, he is the glue. He's so consistent and he will score at least a run a ball, if not a little bit better than that. And they generally like to bat around Joe. Joe goes in and he just plays and the rest can just go. They feel that they've got this comfort blanket at one end and it allows all the firecrackers just to pretty much go from ball one. So I'd want, particularly now you've got the likes of Livingston that can strike a ball. You've got Moeen Ali, you've got David Willis in this team. So you've got your firepower down the back end as well. I'd want to give Jos Buttler as many balls as I possibly could.
Yeah, those numbers that you saw, if you were to add the strike rate and the average, it's a figure that's on the top of the tree for all batsmen in the world in ODI cricket since 2018. But on the other side, we've got someone who firmly bats in the opening position, likes this format of the game, making a comeback into the team. And, he's someone who's struggled for his place occasionally, particularly in the shortest format. But Zaheer, Shikhar Dhawan will be looking to make a mark here. Those numbers tell enough of a story, but it's really his charisma and his affinity to this format of the game.
Well, I think he's in a good zone. And when I'm saying in a good zone, meaning that it doesn't matter what stage of career he is in. He knows how to follow the processes. He knows how to prepare for a game, and he has taken the pressure of expectations from himself. When I'm saying that, it's like if he's there in the T20 format, yes, he'll be there and he'll enjoy that moment. If he's playing a 50-over format, then he will just prepare for that accordingly. Obviously, he's got World Cup as a goal, and both the World Cups I'm talking about, so T20 and the 50 overs. But he's not really losing his sleep over that. I've not been picked, or I've been picked, and what should I do? All those kind of things. So I think he's managing himself very well, and that has been very consistent. In fact, the chat which I had also with him when I happened to meet him during IPL was also on the same lines. Like, just want to play cricket, not really want to think about what's happening around. And if I get picked, I get picked. If I don't, that's also fine. And that's why he's been able to manage his emotions, and that's why he's been able to perform consistently well at this level.
Yeah, it makes a difference, Michael, when your head is clear of any clutter and you're not putting pressure of selection, saying, I need to get in there, I want to get in there. It looks like he's enjoying his cricket, and I think that probably helps. Also, the familiarity of Rohit at the other end would help Rohit as well. I mean, it works well for both.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player, and brilliant players that have got clear minds and are just playing the game because it's just a game. Are very, very dangerous. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he's the leading scorer for India in this series. The wickets will be fantastic. He likes to hit the ball on the top of the bounce. He's got options on the front and the back foot. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he gets a couple of hundreds over the next week or so. And, he's locked in to carry on in the 50-over side. He's such a good player, such a hard bowler, batter to keep quiet. And he'll certainly like batting at the Oval. If he can just survive the first few balls where it might offer a little bit of shape, but not a great deal. It's the best ground in England to bat. It's such a pure place to stroke the ball, and you don't have to do too much because the outfield's so quick. He's got to hold your shape, and he's one of those players that he just likes to play in that fashion. So I think he might score a few over the next week or so.
Well, he likes this ground, that's for sure. He's got a phenomenal record at the Oval, hundreds, 50s, phenomenal average. It's just one of those grounds when you remember Indian batsmen of late at this particular ground, you always think of Shikhar Dhawan. But that remains to be seen. Once again, a quick reminder, we did tell you at the top, or Zaheer Khan did tell you, so we'll remind you that it's India who have won the toss and they've invited the home side to bat first. So I'm not sure. If you have a look closely at the Oval, you will never be sure which is the home side. The way the Indian spectators pack it into cricket grounds in England, you have to keep reminding yourself, yes, you're in the UK. You are in the UK, but that's the world of cricket as we see it. Joy factor question for today. Does it have relevance? Is there a connection to this game? That's up to you to figure out. Okay, it's Lords. We're going to be in Lords in a couple of days. Which bowler dismissed SMG after he scored his only century at Lords? Now, this one you've got to think about. You've got to think about it very carefully. Which bowler dismissed SMG, who, of course, celebrated yet another birthday 2 days ago, 48 hours ago. So happy birthday, Sunny Bhai. But the question from Joy is which bowler dismissed him for his only century or after his only century at Lords, which is where we're going to be seeing India playing England in 48 hours' time. All that remains on the show with the two teams out there, India in the field, England with bat in hand, is for us to get a prediction. We've got so used to T20 cricket, we've almost forgotten the huge scores, the numbers we ought to come up with. Do you have a committee? Have you revised the committee, Michael?
Oh, the minions don't do 50 over. They don't do 50 over cricket. They only do T20. So I'm going to have to guess. 344.
344. That's going to be a daunting proposition, or will it, for India? 344. Zaheer?
I'm going in with 295.
That's exactly the figure, believe it or not, I had in mind. I was going to say shy of 300 and then maybe come 5 runs shy. So I'm a little stuck over here. All right, I'll go lower. I don't mind. I'll go lower. I'll trust India's bowlers to start the way they did in the T20I series. Of course, England will come back, probably at Lords, maybe in the third game. But for now, I'm going to go a little lower with 281. 281, 295, 344. Well, it's a large spectrum that we've put out there for you. England batting first at the Oval, all to play for. We will see you in 15 overs time. We have to keep reminding ourselves, change the format for Cricbuzz Combox. Then, of course, we'll be back in the 35th. For now, from Michael Vaughan, Zaheer Khan and myself, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.